Yeah, I was going to do three really short pieces. The first piece is it's a kind of piece of theoretical writing, and it's from John Stuart Mill's Defence of Liberty, and it's basically John Stuart Mill talking about the importance of freedom of speech, and his whole argument is that any attempt to prevent freedom of speech or to coerce freedom of speech in any way kind of prevents a free contest of ideas. And he said ideas, be they right or wrong, or as is usually the case, only partly true, need testing through debate. And he went on to say the power itself, the power of any government to coerce freedom of speech, is illegitimate. The best government has no more title to it than the worst. It is as noxious or more noxious when exerted in accordance with public opinion than when in opposition to it. If all mankind minus one were of one opinion, and only one person were of the contrary opinion, mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. Were an opinion a personal possession of no value except to the owner, if to be obstructed in the enjoyment of it was simply a private injury, it would make some difference whether the injury was inflicted only on a few persons or on many. But the peculiar evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it is robbing the human race, posterity as well as the existing generation, those who dissent from the opinion still more than those who hold it. If the opinion is right, they are deprived of the opportunity of exchanging error for truth. If wrong, they lose what is almost as great a benefit, the clearer perception and livelier impression of truth produced by its collision with error. The second piece I wanted to read is a piece of mine, and it's coming from a sequence that's been generated entirely out of words starting with Y. Working title for this at the moment is Yow, and this one was very much written in response to the Pussy Riot case. You yourself looked younger yesterday, said the vicar to the vengeful backwardness teased out of the soil by the attempt to separate the things of God from death, shit, blood, and perhaps boredom. In my own church, beyond the altar rail, is no place for Haribos, but at the same time it can't always be stranger on the shore. For unwashed punk prayers, Air Baltic was offering a seat body system, assigning seating partners according to 4 flight moods. If you select, it's not my first embarrassing mishap with a zip, do say, I'm holding out for a Shiro. Don't say, this is a crude violation of the social order. And I'd like to finish, and it's funny how a lot of us are thinking on the same lines. I'd like to finish almost with a piece that kind of speaks to what Steph was saying, and it's from an essay by W.H. Auden about the value of art, and I think the relevance to the Pussy Riot case will become apparent. Basically, Auden's whole argument was the value of art lies precisely in its uselessness. Basically, art as he saw it had no measurable effect on GDP, but that was precisely why it was so important. And he finished the essay by saying, and I think it is one of the best kind of statements I know about the value and importance of art. He finishes the essay by saying, in our age, the mere making of a work of art is itself a political act. So long as artists exist, making what they please and think they ought to make, even if it's not terribly good, even if it appeals to only a handful of people, they remind the management of something managers need to be reminded of, namely that the managed are people with faces, not anonymous numbers, that Homo laborans is also Homo ludens. If a poet meets an illiterate peasant, they may not be able to say much to each other, but if they both meet a public official, they share the same feeling of suspicion. Neither will trust one further than he can throw a grand piano. If they enter a government building, both share the same feeling of apprehension. Perhaps they will never get out again. Whatever the cultural differences between them, they both sniff in any official world the smell of an unreality in which persons are treated as statistics. The peasant may play cards in the evening while the poet writes verses, but there is one political principle to which they both subscribe, namely that among the half or dozen or so things for which a man of honour should be prepared, if necessary, to die, the right to play, the right to frivolity is not the least.